What's up, everyone? Welcome to Ashley Talks Movies, and welcome to my review of Avatar: Fire and Ash, the third movie in the blockbuster Avatar franchise that began back in 2009. James Cameron returns as director with a script he co-wrote with Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver. Avatar: Fire and Ash plunges us back into the world of Pandora. It's been a few weeks since the Na'vi, led by Jake Sully, played by Sam Worthington, and Neytiri, played by Zoe Saldana, defeated the RDA in a battle that claimed the life of their son Neteyam. Still dealing with the grief, the Sully family settled back into their new life among the Metkaina clan, aka the Water People. But they'll soon face a new threat from the aggressive Ash people, led by Varong, played by Una Chaplin, who blame Awa for the destruction of their home. Meanwhile, the RDA is regrouping and planning its next attack on the Na'vi. Before I jump into the review, if you'd like to support the channel, there are a couple of ways you can do that. Make sure you subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Also, join the discussion, jump into the comments, and share your thoughts about the movie.
This world goes much deeper than you imagine.
I was fortunate enough to be invited to a really early screening of Avatar: Fire and Ash, and I know many of you who watched my out-of-theater reaction have been waiting for my full review. Well, the embargo has lifted, and so now I can share all of my thoughts about this movie. So, Avatar: Fire and Ash, how was it? Well, at this point, it feels a little obvious to say the visuals in this movie are stunning. Fire and Ash looks incredible. Ever since the first Avatar, James Cameron established a certain look and expectation for these movies, and Fire and Ash doesn't disappoint in that department. The quality keeps getting better and better with each movie. Once again, you get pulled back into the beauty of Pandora and completely immersed in this world. And this one is yet another technical achievement, setting the bar for visual effects that I wish so many other movies being churned out by Hollywood would reach. Now, I'm not usually a fan of 3D, mostly because I wear glasses, and anytime I have to watch a movie in 3D, I have to put the 3D glasses on top of my glasses, and they never fit correctly, so I'm constantly adjusting my glasses while I'm watching the movie. Long story short, I usually skip 3D. But I saw Fire and Ash in 3D, and I have to say it was worth the hassle. Just like the previous Avatar movies, the 3D elements here really enhance the visuals that you are seeing. So if you have the option, I definitely think you should go with watching this movie in 3D. Now, there was one aspect of the visuals that didn't work for me, and that was the shifting frame rates. This movie will often go from 24 frames per second to a higher frame rate, and it was really jarring, especially when it was used in the action scenes. Now, this was something that James Cameron did in The Way of Water, and it bothered me then too, but it was really noticeable this time around. It's an interesting choice, but I personally didn't like it. I would have preferred if the movie had either stuck with the 24 frames per second or stuck with the higher frame rate, but not switching between the two. Now, when it comes to the story, Fire and Ash doesn't really offer anything groundbreaking, and I said as much in my out-of-theater reaction that the story was fine. It's pretty much in line with what we've seen and come to expect from the previous Avatar movies. Now, to the movie's credit, though, the story, just like The Way of Water, feels a little bit more original than the first Avatar. And I think part of the reason is because with every new movie, Cameron and team are expanding the world of Avatar. So we're getting to visit parts of Pandora that we've never seen before. We're meeting new characters like the Wind Traders, who I think have the coolest looking mode of transportation in all of Pandora. And we're revisiting old characters who are facing new threats. So the world building here is really well done. I can also appreciate that this movie is more character focused, and it gives some of the characters more depth, especially when it comes to Kiri, played by Sigourney Weaver, and Spider, played by Jack Champion. We get to learn more about Kiri's connection to Awa, which was introduced in The Way of Water, and this was one of the more interesting subplots in the movie. Spider also gets a more fleshed out story as he grapples with how the limitations of his human body impact his desire to live among the Na'vi. Just like the visuals, Fire and Ash definitely delivers on the action, and this one feels more action-packed than the previous Avatar movies. This movie has some really thrilling and intense action sequences, especially in the final half hour when things really ramp up. I know that Avatar 2 and 3 were originally written as one movie before James Cameron decided to split them into two, and after watching Fire and Ash, I can see why. There's so much story here, but that's also why Fire and Ash feels so similar to The Way of Water. Story beats, references, and scenes are almost identical, to The Way of Water. They also share a similar running time, but this one felt much longer, and I think that's because the story is a little bloated and that really messed with the pacing. Now, in terms of the performances, I think Zoe Saldana still delivers the best performance in any of these movies. I think it really speaks to her ability as an actor that even though her role here isn't as big as the previous movies, she still manages to bring so much heart and emotion and power to her performance. Every member of the Sully family is still reeling from the death of Neteyam from the previous movie, but Neytiri is taking it especially hard. And throughout the movie, you see how she deals with the grief while also facing new threats to her family and her home. But for me, the standout performance in this movie was Una Chaplin, who's a newcomer to the franchise. She plays Varong, the leader of the Ash people. And she is so unhinged and calculating. I mean, talk about a menacing villain. And she forms an interesting alliance with a familiar foe. And Chaplin is just relishing in this role, and I really liked the dynamic her character brought to the story. She definitely made things more interesting. Overall, I enjoyed Avatar: Fire and Ash, just like I've enjoyed all the Avatar movies so far. They're fun, they're entertaining, and I really do like the world that James Cameron has created here. So those are my thoughts on Avatar: Fire and Ash, which is out in theaters this week. Do you plan on seeing it in a theater? Are you excited about yet another Avatar movie? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe, especially if you like my reviews. It's a great way to show support. It's also a great way to help me grow the channel. Also, I am currently working on my list of the top movies of 2025 because 2025 is almost near the end and 2026 will be here before we know it. But I still have a few more movies to watch before I nail down that list. But once I do, I plan on putting together a video of the top movies of the year. So if you're at all interested in that, be on the lookout for that video on the channel really soon. So that does it for me, everyone. I'll see you next time, and thanks for watching.